Thank you. Thank you. I humbly accept the game ball for today's win. What's up? Good evening. Welcome to my instant reaction to the 49ers 37-24 domination over the Tennessee Titans. It's a very revealing win for the 49ers. I think we learned a lot about this team and where exactly they stand in the NFC and the Super Bowl picture. I think we learned a lot about Brock today and Ricky Pearsall today. I think we learned a lot about me and the power of quality control. I mean, really, if I hadn't asked all those questions about Ricky Pearsall, if I hadn't grown out a Ricky Pearsall beard, if I hadn't tried to take his identity, I'm essentially stealing his identity. Because I'm like, look, man, what's the difference between me and you? Both devastatingly handsome, both have great beards, both run around. You're supposed to sketch passes. I can't do that. And so they figured out that they needed to differentiate the 37-year-old Grant Cohn, 25-year-old Ricky Pearsall. Boom, he did what I couldn't do today. So shout out to Ricky. I'm going to talk about him a lot. But first, shout out to our sponsors, 1-800-CONTACTS. If you hate running out of contacts or having to make an eye appointment every time you're running low, 1-800-CONTACTS is the best solution. They will save you time and money. Getting contacts doesn't have to be a hassle. Let 1-800-CONTACTS get you the contact lenses you need right now. Order online at 1-800-CONTACTS.com or download the free 1-800-CONTACTS app today. We're also sponsored by Rula Online Therapy. Find the right fit without the hassle. Therapy that doesn't break the bank. Full support from start to finish. Top-tier providers only, and everything in one place. That's what's great about Rula. Thousands of guys have already used Rula to finally get the care they needed. Don't keep putting it off. Go to Rula.com/Cohn and get started today. That's RULA.com/COHN. Take the first step, get connected, and take control of your mental health. I was challenging Kyle Shanahan's mental health, Ricky Pearsall's mental health. You could tell that Kyle in particular, well, both of them really didn't like answering questions about what was going on with Ricky. How come Ricky's not catching the ball? What's up with the fact that he has 4 catches for 20 yards since week 4? I think it's a valid question because although wide receivers do more than catch passes, it's ultimately what their job is to do. And I wasn't ever blaming Ricky. I wasn't saying that he sucks because he doesn't. I just wanted to know their explanation, and they didn't really give one, although Kyle Shanahan kind of did a few days ago when he was on an interview with Matt Mayoka. He essentially said, look, man, Ricky's been getting open. I've been calling him plays. It's just that we didn't get on the ball. And when he said we, he meant the quarterback, Brock Purdy. I mean, it's true, right? It tried throwing him to Ricky down the field against Carolina, interception at least once, maybe twice. So they dialed it back with Brock. They were aggressive today because it's the Titans, and it worked out. So I think this is huge. Now, the good thing for Ricky is that it proved that he was never the issue here. The reason he wasn't getting the ball the last few weeks is because the offense, the quarterback, the play caller, who's been so focused on Christian McCaffrey all year. Now Christian McCaffrey had a back injury. They didn't talk much about it, but he clearly wasn't full Christian today, only 1 catch. And so, oh my God, they had to throw the ball to their wide receiver. They got it to him on the first play. They went to him over and over again, and he played well. Do you think Kyle Shanahan did that just to sort of answer me? I do. I think he's a troll, and I think I'm deep in that head. But you know what? That's quality control. They should have done this with Ricky Pearsall weeks ago. The downside with Ricky is you give him seven targets, or was it 8 targets, and he gets injured twice. First play of the game, not his fault, gets tackled, kind of a hip drop tackle, hurts his ankle, comes back, plays through it. That's commendable. Bangs his knee again, hurts his PCL. That's the second time he's hurt his PCL banging his knee on grass at Levi's. So, hell of a player. And the main reason the Niners felt like they could get rid of Brandon Aiyuk. But if you use him like a number 1 wide receiver, it seems like he breaks down. Maybe as he gets older, year 3, year 4, he'll get stronger, more durable. But right now, he's a complimentary option, which is fine considering George Kittle is the number 1 guy. George Kittle led the team in targets today. Pearsall was number 2. Jennings was number 3. That's how it should be. That's so good for Ricky. And after the game, it was interesting asking Brock. Basically, Ricky was the story. And everyone was asking, Ricky, Kyle, Brock, what'd you have to say to Ricky? What'd you think of Ricky's performance and how quiet he had been and how dominant he was today? And Brock's answer was interesting because he kept saying, like, look, Ricky's not the kind of guy who's going to complain in the huddle on the sideline about getting the ball. He's a team guy. He must have said that 2 or 3 times. And when he says it, you think like, okay, right, like every football player is a team guy, right? Well, who got placed on reserve left squad this week? Brandon Aiyuk, is he a team guy? He's a great wide receiver, but I think the Niners think that he's not necessarily a team guy. Juwan Jennings, is he a team guy? Sometimes. We saw him yelling at Kyle Shanahan when they were winning on the sideline when he wasn't getting the ball enough. You don't see that from Ricky, and you see that his teammates appreciate that. Like, he could easily be leading this team in targets and catches, at least when he's healthy. And he's not complaining about it the way Brandon Aiyuk did. Like, Brandon Aiyuk, and we'll talk about him more in a minute, he was complaining what? He was complaining early on in his tenure. Probably privately when he was on the doghouse, and then heading into year 4 before he really broke out, he had that tweet saying that he was the 4th option to run first team. That's essentially what Ricky Pearsall's been. And it's hard being the 4th option on this team, it's especially when you feel like you might be the most explosive option on this team. I mean, the offense is so much better when you have Ricky or Brandon stretching the field. Brandon always was concerned about his own catches, like a typical wide receiver. Maybe Ricky will be like that one day, but I think the reason that his teammates like him so much, the reason why I like him so much, is he really seems down to earth, and he has given me his full blessing to copy his look. Although, really, I think I do it better because I have curly hair and he doesn't, and I'm 37, you know what I'm saying, with a little bit of salt and pepper, which he doesn't have any salt and pepper yet. So I really, at this point, I feel like he's stealing my look. I feel like, Ricky, it's time to get a new look. I took it. But as long as I look like this, Ricky's going to keep performing. I really wish he could have done it early in the season so my fantasy football team would have made the playoffs. But you know what? That's neither here nor there. I still believe in Ricky. Today was a big day for him, big day for the organization because they made a big decision with Brandon Aiyuk a couple of days ago. AmTodd9941 says, way too early offseason talk. What if they trade for Bijan? You get prime CMC for next 5+ years. Kyle would give up every 2026 draft pick and keep CMC. Bijan's great. I don't think the Falcons are going to trade him, but maybe they will. You don't know. Before we get more into this game, I want to go back because the Niners dumped a bunch of news on Saturday, and I haven't streamed about it. Brandon Aiyuk officially done with the 49ers. He's under contract for next year, but they put him on the reserve left squad list. I didn't know that list existed. And we've talked about Brandon Aiyuk. There's nothing really new here. I just think it's interesting that the 49ers have always framed this as, boy, you know, the ball was in Brandon's court, and he just didn't want to be. We wanted him. He didn't want us. And that's not the case. That's not what I believe. I feel the Niners, they didn't want each other. Let's just be honest. He didn't want to be here, and they didn't want him here. They tried to trade him when he couldn't walk. They didn't want him. And so when they acted like, oh, you know, he missed a rehab assignment in June, so we had to take away his guarantees. No. You wanted to take away his guarantees because you didn't want him on the team anymore because the contract was awful. And so now, I mean, so far so good. They're winning without him. Ricky Pearsall stepping up. You have sort of a Brandon Aiyuk replacement in Ricky Pearsall. Who knows? They could win the Super Bowl without Brandon Aiyuk this year, and maybe the fact that he kind of left him for dead and felt like, well, let's see how far you guys make it without me. Maybe that's fueling them, because it didn't seem like. I mean, they all said nice things about him, but essentially, Brandon turned his back on them, and I think felt like you guys are nothing without me. Well, so far they're really good without him. At least they were today. But if they don't win the Super Bowl, if they score 20 points in a playoff game and lose, if Ricky Pearsall is banged up the rest of the season and his knee bothers him, his ankle bothers him, and he can't play like this again, I mean, we're going to go back to this decision. Because, again, it is not a morality decision. This has nothing to do with Brandon Aiyuk forcing the Niners' hand. This is 100% to do with the Niners wanting to save cash. They thought that Brandon Aiyuk was worth the money for a minute, and then they changed their mind for a lot of reasons. So they saved cash. And I don't root for billionaires to save cash. I root for billionaires to spend cash. And if they can win the Super Bowl without Brandon Aiyuk, if Ricky Pearsall becomes even better than him, then God love you. You guys were smart and way ahead of me on this one. Although better to not nuke the relationship with Brandon. Maybe get ahead of this one, not extend him or trade him before he injures his knee, before you just have a falling out, so you have to cut him. But you know what? It could end up fine. But if Ricky Pearsall is in and out and he can't stay healthy and your offense flounders without Brandon, he bounces back somewhere else where he feels wanted, well, then you look stupid. So there's a reason the Niners buried the news on a Saturday, because they didn't want people talking about it. They knew that why'd they do it on the Saturday? Because the next day they were going to blow out the Titans. So there's nothing to talk about. And they knew they were going to give Ricky the ball a lot. I asked Ricky after the game, hey, when you looked at the game plan, did you have a feeling you were going to get the ball a lot? He's like, yeah, actually I did. The 49ers are very good at crafting narratives as they win games. They knew they were going to beat the Titans. It was important how they beat the Titans. You bury Brandon on Saturday and you anoint Ricky on Sunday. Great. All went according to plan today. Now you got 3 games left, one against a grandpa plus playoffs. Let's see if they can keep it going. I think this is the most interesting thing that happened today. So the other news of the weekend, Christian McCaffrey back injury. He woke up with a stiff back. He still wanted to play anyway. Why do you want to play? I'll tell you why he wanted to play. Because he wants to get 2,000 yards from scrimmage, 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving. He came into the game about 150 yards on the ground shy and about 200 yards through the air shy of 1,000. It's the Titans. He's not missing this game for anything. This was a prime opportunity for every one of the Niners to pad their stats and make some money. Hello, Brock Purdy. Hello, Ricky Pearsall. Hello, Jawan and George. So who didn't do that today? Christian. I get these guys' names wrong. Christian. He faced the Titans. He rushed 22 times. He got 73 yards. He averaged a whopping 3.3 yards per carry against Tennessee. Did score a touchdown. Longest run of the day was 9 yards, which is it's a pretty long scamper for Christian at this point in his career. Also got 1 target, 1 catch, 14 yards. So I think today was so important. Forget that it was the Titans. We saw the Niners offense at its best. I think this is arguably the best performance that the Niners offense has had all season. Yeah, it was against Tennessee, but they finally, when I say they, Kyle Shanahan finally distributed the ball, Kyle and Brock, the way they should, to the players who earned it. The fact that Christian McCaffrey was the leading receiver on this team, is ridiculous, man. You're never going to win a Super Bowl with your running back as your leading guy. Most targets, most catches, most yards. Those are checkdowns. He's a good third option. Today, he was like the 5th option, and guess what? They were fucking great on offense. 37 points. Kittle led the team in receiving. Pearsall 2, Jennings 3. That should be the breakdown every week. If Christian's your 4th option, you're tough to stop. If the whole passing game goes through the running back, you're easy to stop, especially a running back who's 29. And I think all of us, I don't know, all of us, I don't want to speak for everyone here, but I wanted to see what the offense would look like. Without Christian McCaffrey dominating it's not even his fault. It's Kyle's fault, man. It's like his emotional support player. He gets like anxiety if he doesn't give the ball to Christian every other play. But you know what? Look what happens. Look what happens if you don't. Look what happens if you feature the Hall of Fame tight end who's in his prime and maybe better than ever. Look what happens if you feature Ricky. He gets hurt, but he plays well in between the 2 injuries. Jennings is playing well. It took Kyle. Look, I don't know what Kyle's thinking this year. He's a very smart guy, and you can see that in December off of bye week. He got it right. This is how you got to call games the rest of the season, Kyle. It worked. It's a George Kittle thing. George Kittle is your number 1 mismatch. Let Christian be like a decoy. Teams are going to always have their eyes on him. They're always going to be bracketing him or trying to figure out where he is and how they can match up. Great. Now the ball's going down the field to Ricky Pearsall for 25 yards. Oh, you sold out to stop the check down? Wonderful. Now we're throwing it to George Kittle for 35 yards. That's the offense. That's what Christian McCaffrey gives you in 2025. The fact that people still respect him. That's the best thing he does. Now that he had this injury and the Niners won a game without featuring him, go further. 22 carries. Why don't you knock that down to 14? Why don't you play another running back other than him and Brian Robinson Jr.? I'd like to see Isaac Guerendo. I haven't been able to do the Guerendo once this year. I almost did it, but I'm not going to until he touches the ball. The less Christian McCaffrey, the better this offense is. Now they gotta be balanced. They gotta run the ball, but passing, fourth or fifth option, and then running, they can't run the ball. They should be looking for anything, anyone. Guerendo should get an opportunity. Jordan James should get an opportunity, until something works on the ground. Aaron Lofton says defense had a light practice. We'll talk about the defense in a minute, but first I want to talk about Brock. I'm usually very tough on Brock, even if he wins, because the way I look at it is when you're the seventh highest paid player in the league, you're held to a higher standard. That being said, he was great today, flat out. That being said, it was the Titans, and they're just really, 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 really bad, especially on defense. They have that one defensive tackle. The rest is terrible. Still, almost 300 yards, almost. 3 touchdowns, no picks, 1 fumble. The numbers are whatever. It's the Titans. What was impressive, I thought, was the mobility and the arm strength. Because even though the Niners say that, or he says that his toe isn't really an issue anymore, I mean, it looked like an issue against Carolina. It looked like an issue against the Browns. I mean, he really wasn't driving the ball. And he was talking about it. Like, I'd like to get back to driving the ball. Hard to drive the ball, off a messed up toe. In this game, he absolutely drove the ball. And he was very mobile. He had his career-long scramble, and he was like styling at the end of the run, holding the ball out. That's all good stuff. I said this kind of tongue-in-cheek on Twitter, but I think he needed this performance because I do feel like either he lost a little confidence or his timing was off, or maybe Kyle had lost confidence in him because 3 interceptions in 3 consecutive drives is rare, and it's alarming, especially when you're at home and you're winning and you're facing a team that's terrible. I mean, the Panthers aren't terrible, but they weren't doing anything against the Niners. The Niners were winning the whole time, and he did that anyway. And then Kyle, it seemed like he freaked out and lost confidence. I don't know if Brock lost confidence in Brock, but Kyle sort of took the season out of his hands for a little while, called a bunch of runs and short passes. And then today it was clear, look, we can't keep playing like that. We can't win a Super Bowl like that. We may not even be able to beat Phillip Rivers like that in a week. So why don't we take this opportunity at home against the Titans, who are dead, and air it out? What's the worst that could happen? You're going to win one way or another. The worst that could happen, I guess, is you throw more picks and you really sink your confidence for good, but that didn't happen. He threw some really nice passes down the field. He got Ricky Pearsall established as a real weapon again. This was a huge game for Brock Purdy. He needed this, even though it was just Tennessee. I mean, he was good against the Browns, but the best thing he did was not throw a pick and throw the ball away. That's training wheel rookie stuff. He's beyond that. He's the 7th highest paid player in the league. We want to see lots of scores. And he did that. We want to see you make plays. We want to see you protect the football. We want to see you scramble. We want to see you push the ball down the field. He did all of that. The one bad play was a fumble on 3rd and 10, up 24, something like that, late in the game. You could fault him for not stepping up in the pocket. You could fault Kyle Shanahan for calling a deep drop on that play, up 24, or whatever it was, in the first place. Up to you. But if people look at me as the harshest Brock Purdy critic, and I'm not, I like Brock. Thought he was great. Thought he was terrific in this game, and they need him to play like this. In the past few weeks, he was playing like Mac Jones. Today he played like Brock Purdy. And I felt like all season he'd been trying to play like this and couldn't pull it off. He was forcing it. He was making bad decisions. He was holding the ball when he shouldn't and getting picked. Today, when he held the ball more than 2.5 seconds, it seemed like good things happened. So, again, he's going to have to do this against much better defenses and teams going forward. But this was exactly, if he didn't do this today, you'd have to be worried, right? I was thinking if they scored less than 37, I'm alarmed. And they scored less than 35, I'm alarmed. I predicted they'd win 35-10. They won 37-24. So the offense exceeded expectations. The defense did not. So let's talk about the defense. If you're looking at this game in terms of narratives, it was a very positive game for the offense because it really quieted the Mac Jones talk. Brock Purdy was great. I mean, Mac Jones wouldn't have done any better in this game. It quieted the Brandon Aiyuk talk. Ricky Pearsall was great. Brandon wouldn't have done any better in this game. But it started a whole conversation about the defense because, I mean, when it goes up against Shedeur Sanders in the wind or Bryce Young at home or Jacoby Brissett, looks great. But when it goes up against a good quarterback, it looks awful. And Cam Ward is a good quarterback, a rookie, but you can see he's a lot better than Shedeur Sanders. And honestly, at times, I felt like he was better than Brock in this game. The difference is Brock has Hall of Famers on his offense, and this dude has Aiyuk Ayamanor and other players I've never heard of. Tony Pollard was good. But at one point, when the fourth quarter started, the Niners were up, 17? Let me look this up. What were they up? I want to get this right. Hold the phone. When the fourth quarter started, the Niners were winning 21. They were up 21 when the fourth quarter started. That game should be fucking over. It's the Titans. You're up 21. Put them out of their misery. Run the ball. But on 3rd and 10, from the 44, Kyle calls a deep pass, a deep drop. A pass with a deep drop. I'm going to use English here. Brock Purdy fumbles. Hey, how about hand it off, man? What would Jim Harbaugh would never lose a game like this. Kyle Shanahan's the guy who's lost with a 25-point lead in the second half. Don't do this. It's the Titans. This game should have been over in the third quarter, but with 4 minutes left, you're up 10? Because not only did you let the Titans strip the ball from your quarterback, that play was scary too because he got his hand hit as he was throwing. It looked a lot like the play in Philly, the NFC Championship game where he blew out his elbow. Thank goodness he didn't do that, Kyle. So then you give up, like you take this unnecessary risk where you should have just handed off to McCaffrey for a draw and punted. Punt the fucking ball, but you don't. You give the ball to the Titans. First play, 43-yard completion to Van Jefferson. Next play, touchdown pass to a defensive tackle. Then you drive it down for a field goal. You give the ball back to Tennessee. Tony Pollard for 20. Tony Pollard for 7. Tajay Spears for 20. Tony Pollard touchdown. Like, the defense is terrible. Against Tennessee, you saw what it looked like against the Rams. This defense, I mean, obviously it's missing Fred Warner. Obviously it's missing Nick Bosa. It's missing Michael Williams. I mean, I'm dead serious. Was he worth the 11th pick in the draft? Probably not. But you know what? He's a great run defender. His impact on this defense is very similar to the impact that Eric Armstead had once upon a time. Eric Armstead never went to a Pro Bowl. Eric Armstead was never really a pass rusher except for that 1 year where he had a bunch of cleanup sacks because D Ford and DeForest Buckner and Nick Bosa were out there. Maybe Michael Williams has a season like that where he has 9-10 sacks because he's the 4th best pass rusher on the line. But he is the best run defender on the line. When he's out there, they can stop the run. When he's not, damn, they cannot. And the fact that they couldn't put away the Titans, to me, is the story of this game. Not to be negative, but Brock Purdy's bounce pack performance, sweet. It was the Titans. Ricky Pearsall went off, sweet. Let's see you do that against a team that's in the playoffs. Not that he can't, but I just don't think the Niners proved anything at all in this game. If they had won 37-10, you'd be like, all right, that's what a tier 1 team looks like. That 35-7, 37-10. That's what it looks like. You handle business. You step on their necks. You put backups in most of the fourth quarter. But the Niners didn't do that. It was a 21-point lead, and then it was a 10-point lead. Their defense couldn't get off the field. Their offense had to play defense at the end just with ball control. And that was against Tennessee. What's it going to look like when they face Chicago in 2 weeks, man? That's a better offense with a better quarterback. What's it going to look like against whoever they face in the playoffs? So it's a great day for the narratives. The Niners pushed back against some important narratives, but they really raised a lot of questions about their ability to beat good teams. They did what they had to do against Tennessee, but you feel like a championship team puts this game away. So where do the Niners really stack up? There's 3 games left. They have 10 wins. Are they in the top tier of NFC teams? I would have to say hell no. I think the top tier of NFC teams, the Rams are in it. The Rams are a really, really, really great team. Seattle's probably in it as well. Is Chicago in it? I don't know. Green Bay's not anymore, not without Michael Parsons. Tampa's not. Carolina's not. Detroit's not. Is Philly? Maybe. I feel like the Rams, Philly, Seattle, and maybe Chicago make up that top tier of NFC teams. And the Niners are just one tier below. They're with Detroit, Tampa, Green Bay. That's where the Niners are. And they know it. Maybe there was a trade at the deadline that they could have. I think there was a trade at the deadline. I think that's what's so tough about this. I mean, 4-game winning streak, maybe they run the table, but the defense just isn't good enough. Keon White, solid player. Cleveland Farrell, solid player. They have a lot of solid players on the defense, but you couldn't put away you give up 24 points to the Titans. They don't score 24 points very often. They do that against bad teams. So, good team, good season. Ultimately, they're going to fall short, and it'll be interesting to see why that day. But, hey, 4-game winning streak. And they got Robert Saleh. Here's what I'm hearing about Robert Saleh. It sounds like, from what I'm hearing, he is the guy that Tom Brady and the Raiders want. Now, they haven't fired Pete Carroll yet. I'm guessing they're going to fire Pete Carroll. I mean, he was supposed to bring a quick turnaround. He's 75 years old or something. I don't think you want to go the slow rebuild with him. No offense. But if you want a similar coach, younger coach with a similar philosophy, it's Robert Saleh. So Saleh's going to have make up his mind. I wouldn't be surprised if other teams wanted him too. But the Raiders are going to make a big push. And if Tom Brady's the one calling you up, having lunch with you, that could be tough to say no to Tom Brady. I mean, it's heady, I would imagine, having the greatest player of all time recruit you. Here's the thing, though. Here's what we know about Tom Brady as an executive. In his first go-round, he wanted Pete Carroll. That was a mistake. Now, he did want Ben Johnson. That was not a mistake. He wasn't going to get Ben Johnson. He wasn't going to get Matthew Stafford. That was his vision. So he settled for Pete Carroll and Geno Smith. That was a big fucking mistake. Chip Kelly and Geno Smith. I mean, damn, I wouldn't have done that bad. I might have brought in Kellen Mond, but not Geno Smith. But what he did was he hired the OC. And that, to me, is like a sin. You don't get to hire the offensive coordinator. The coach hires the offensive coordinator because the offensive coordinator has to report to the head coach, not to you, Tom. There has to be a clear chain of command. And with the Raiders this year, there wasn't. So I would be very concerned for Saleh that Brady wants to do the same thing. That he wants to hire Saleh, but then not let Saleh hire an offensive coordinator because he was over 2 hiring offensive coordinators with the Jets. I could see Brady, who, kind of seems like he thinks he's always right and knows what he's doing even when he doesn't, hiring the offensive coordinator. So, Robert, if you're watching, I would not take the job with the Raiders. I think that would be a big mistake. Now, I've never been a head coach. I don't know what I'm talking about, but they're a really bad organization. And chances are you're going to have an offensive coordinator picked for you. Maybe that's good. Maybe you don't know good offensive coordinators, but I wouldn't like it. If I were you, I'd be bringing Clay Kubiak with me, and I'd be bringing Mac Jones with me. And if that's not what Tom Brady wants to do, then you say, you know what, Tom, good luck with the Raiders. That team fucking sucks, by the way. That organization is terrible. And let me just say something as an Oakland resident, someone who's from Oakland. I never rooted for that team. I mean, I was a Niner fan when I was 6 because they won the Super Bowl when I was in first grade. First grade? First grade. And the Raiders came home when I was in second grade, so it was over at that point. But I feel like Las Vegas poached both of our fucking teams, the A's and the Raiders, because they thought Oakland was the problem. That these organizations were like top-tier professional franchises and that our town didn't appreciate them, wasn't supporting them. No, our town kicks ass. And we're like one of the best sports towns in America. It's just that those teams aren't worth supporting. And we figured that out 20 years ago. The A's and the Raiders, why would you give money to them? I wouldn't even give my attention to them. But Vegas gave them hundreds of millions of dollars, built billion-dollar stadiums for them, and guess what? They still suck. Enjoy the Raiders experience. You thought they were going to be good? Because you got Mark Davis and a stadium and Tom Brady. Now, all you have is the same shit minus fans. You have the same awful organization, good dome for the other team's fans, no home field advantage, and that's what you're going to have for the A's too. I love that. The A's are always like, we would spend money. It's just not for Oakland. No, you're never going to spend money, and I hate you. Las Vegas, go away. K9er209 says, need to extend ADP ASAP, man, is clutch. I don't know, man. He kicked the ball out of bounds. Yeah, he's good, though. Let's see how he finishes the season. Hog20 says, hard to be too excited about beating boo-boo teams. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, they couldn't even put him away. But, yeah, they might win the Super Bowl. LA Blue 4976 says, if by chance we win the Super Bowl, would BA get a ring? I'm thinking yes. It was interesting. Kyle's like, I haven't talked to him in a month. He hasn't been here in a month. Yeah, man. I'm not surprised. He's going to get, doesn't it feel like there's been like a wink, not agreement? He's going to get his money back. Do you really think he would sacrifice all this money and say nothing if some team wasn't whispering in his ear like, just be quiet, man, we got you. Just be quiet. I bet that's happening. Joseph Ernberg says, this team is a disgrace. First round, we lose by 50. I love your relentless negativity, man. It's definitely an inspiration. I don't see how you could feel that way after this game, but I feel you one way or another, regardless. NY Niners says, D is actually one tick better with Bethune and Elliott. Zero chance to stop the run with Robinson in there. Not just runs, but like screens. So that's true. If when Tatum Bethune comes back, this defense will be better for sure. But I just want to point out that they got, destroyed with Tatum Bethune on the field when they were facing the Rams. Maybe they'll never face the Rams again. But Hexcuse says Rams are being given flags and calls. Hold on. Rams are being given flags and calls on crucial drives. It reminds me of the Chiefs. Now that the Chiefs are out, Rams are league favorites. Bad news for us. Man, stop. Would you stop? The Niners didn't get calls today? Can I just say something? Niner fans do too much complaining about other teams getting calls and complaining about injuries. Man, every team has injuries. I love your excuse, but come on. Bill Kennedy says Saleh should be the heir apparent head coach for the Niners. If I were Robert Saleh, I'd be thinking that too. Like, yeah, I could bounce for the Raiders. But, Kyle's been here 9 years. Next year will be 10. What if he eventually wants to leave? What if after 9, 10, 11 years, he's the one that wants to go? He wants to change his scenery. Guess who would be his replacement on the Niners? Robert Saleh. He could inherit this whole franchise if he's patient. And I think, look, if he had never been a head coach before and the Raiders wanted him, fine. If he were 37 and the Raiders wanted him, he'd never been a head coach before, fine. But you've already gotten fired once. You're not going to get a third chance to be a head coach. So you got to make this one count. And the Raiders is like throwing it away. Because at least in my lifetime, every single guy who's coached that team has failed. Every single one. Which tells me that the issue isn't coaching, man. They could tear it down again tomorrow, hire a new general manager and a new head coach. But you know who still will be there? Mark Davis and Tom Brady. So I would pass on that one, man. Let them, and again, like, and you coach that team, and guess what? You have no fans. Fans matter. A home field advantage should matter. I think. All right, let's do prize picks. From the week, let's see who got it right. Saturday, that was Maj and Brandon. Not so good. Friday, who was that? Who was Friday? Me, quality control. I did great. I got all but one right. The only one I got wrong was Ricky Pearsall. Man, I'm sorry, Ricky. I should have known better. And then Tom Walsh, he knew. He fucking knew. It was only one he got wrong was Brock. And I think we thought that Brock wouldn't be throwing that much, but you never can underestimate Kyle Shanahan's desire to prove someone wrong. So me and Tom, the best at this, no big deal. Let's make some more picks. Who we got for tomorrow? Miami and Pittsburgh. Okay. Aaron Rodgers, 211.5. Let's say more. I guess Miami. Tua, 195.5. You're terrible. I'm going to say less. Devon Achane, 79.5 rushing yards. He's the offense. I'm going to go with more on that one. Kenneth Gainwell, 23.5 rushing yards, less. Terrible. Receiving yards, DK Metcalf, 55.5. Yeah, I'm going to say more just because they're facing Miami. Jalen Waddle, 63.5. No. I can't stand the Miami Dolphins. Those are my picks. Drink them in with your eyes. Flex them, of course. Submit the lineup. Download PrizePicks. Use promo code COHN. Play $5. Get $50 instantly in lineups when you use my promo code. Boom. Abyss007 says, if Mac Jones leaves, is there a chance of bringing Trey Lance back? I don't think so. Let's look at the quarterbacks the Niners could sign next year. Let's see. Free agent quarterbacks 2026. Let's look. Okay, Daniel Jones, but he's got a torn ACL. Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's going to want to be a backup. Russell Wilson. He's washed. Marcus Mariota. He could go for Marcus Mariota. Zach Wilson kind of sucks. They go for Zach Wilson. Tyrod Taylor, 36. Joe Flacco. How about Joe Flacco? How about, not even joking, how about Joe Flacco? He's good. Kenny Pickett sucks. I wouldn't go for Kenny Pickett. There's Jimmy Garoppolo. I guarantee it won't be Jimmy. Mitchell Trubisky actually kind of intrigues me. I feel like I've always liked Mitchell Trubisky. Always liked him. I feel like he was the most successful of the Bears quarterbacks. He played for freaking Matt Nagy, who sucks. He's not even 32 yet. I will go get Mitchell Trubisky. Case Keenum is old as hell. Trey Lance, Carson Wentz. I mean, between Malik Willis, unrestricted free agent. Not Teddy Bridgewater, not Gardner Minshew. Although, honestly, Gardner Minshew would be fine on this team. Even Gardner Minshew would be fine. Not Jake Browning. Although Jake Browning's from Auburn, they might get Jake Browning. There's so many guys they could get, but you know what they should do? Keep Mac Jones. That's what I would do. Keep Mac Jones. I don't want to. I'm not done yet. Hold on. Let's do stock up. Which player's stock rose the most in this game? Obviously, Ricky Pearsall stock up. He hadn't done much of anything since September. Big game for him. Needed it. Offense needs him. If he can play like this the rest of the way, this is a team that legitimately could score 35 against anyone. Brock Purdy, stock up. The mobility's there. The zip is there. The toe doesn't seem to be an issue anymore. It's definitely not an excuse. Stock up for him. CJ West. I felt like CJ West was really good in this game. Jordan Elliott couldn't play. CJ West got a lot of playing time, made some tackles in the backfield, it looked like, or at least at the line of scrimmage. I like him. I feel like he's one of their better run defenders. Eddie Pinero's back. He made some kicks, did some good things. Keon White's a good pass rusher. He's disruptive, although, man, they were running at him left and right. You really want him more as like a third down player. I mean, George Kittle, I feel like he never gets any praise because he's like Trent Williams. And what do you say about George? He's great. Still, did his stock go up today? How could it go up any more than it's already been? But yeah, it went up. Jawan Jennings' stock keeps going up slowly. I mean, I don't think they're going to re-sign him, but he lost a lot of money there for a while. I feel like every week he's getting a little bit back. I would say those are the main stock up guys. Am I missing anyone? Kyle Shanahan's stock went up. 37 points. That speaks well for him. Finally got Ricky Pearsall featured. Finally stopped overusing his running back. It's the best game he's had in a while. Really loved it. Stock down. Robert Saleh. His defense stunk. He has every excuse in the world, but dude, you're facing Tennessee, man. It's not like they have anyone that good. Couldn't stop the run. You can't cover, not you, but the defense can't cover a tight end. You couldn't cover Gunnar. Who the hell is Gunnar Helm? He spells it with an A. Gunnar? I've never heard of that. What is he, Swedish? You gave up a touchdown to a Swedish tight. They don't even play football in Sweden, and he scored a touchdown. How do you explain that, Robert? Curtis Robinson, he's admirable. I bet they would like Eric Kendricks on the field, but he already messed up his calf. They need Tatum Bethune back. Christian McCaffrey, let's say he has a back injury, but yet another game, averaging less than 4 yards a carry. Malik Mustafa, good player, but dude, you got to catch that interception. That was a Jaquiski Tart drop. And I don't throw that around. I haven't called anything a Jaquiski Tart drop since Jaquiski Tart dropped it. And you know what I'm talking about. McCaffrey, Saleh, Mustafa, Curtis Robinson. That's about it. Hard to be stocked down. I mean, just the defense in general, though. Who gave up the touchdown catch to Gunnar Helm? Was it Jair Brown? Who gave up the touchdown catch to Jeffrey Simmons? How do you get beat by a defensive tackle? I don't know. These are the questions I have. K9er209 says, Kyle useless grade F plus LOL. Why is he still here? Kyle useless. Mike, the producer, says, any quarterback we keep needs to know how to Dougie dough. Doesn't it feel like Mac Jones was so good, not just on the field, but like the way he led the team, that Brock is like trying to like emulate it? Like, oh, Mac has fun while playing football? I can have fun. I can have fun. Oh, you want to see the quarterback play with a little emotion and joy? I can do that. I can dance. I'm a good dancer. Mark Saleh says, you can tell Kyle wants to please CMC. He does. He does. And that's why the Brandon Aiyuk situation happened. Because Kyle wants to please McCaffrey. Kyle bent over backwards to please Debo for years. Kyle always makes sure that he's good with George Kittle. But Brandon Aiyuk, man, shut up. I feel like Brandon Aiyuk got the cold shoulder forever. And then when he finally snapped, everyone's like, man, that guy is unprofessional. How do you think Christian McCaffrey would act if he got treated the way Brandon Aiyuk got treated? Basically, what they say about Ricky is like, man, we're so grateful that he's like a lot more agreeable than Brandon Aiyuk, because if we treated Brandon the way we're treating Ricky, Brandon would lose his freaking mind. Yeah, that's what most wide receivers do. I think as a head coach, you owe it to your team and your franchise and your fans and everyone to feature the players who deserve it. And it's on you. Like, you got to distribute the ball. You got to call play. You can't just sit there and be like, oh, well, the coverage dictates who gets the ball. Nah, man, fuck that. You dictate it. You're the reason that Christian McCaffrey has too many catches this season. You're the reason that Brandon Aiyuk lost his mind. And you're the reason that George Kittle and Ricky Pearsall were so good today, because you featured them. You made it a point of emphasis in your script, in your game plan, and you made it happen. You got to keep doing that. Do what's best for the franchise, not what's best for Christian. Agree, more Kittle. Make Kittle the focus. Yeah, man. How has it taken Kyle 9 years to figure that out? Kittle hasn't had 100 targets in a season since he was like 25 years old. Come on. Today was great, though. Today, and look, go back and watch Walsh's playbook. Me and Tom Walsh, former Raiders offensive coordinator, on Thursday, we talked about this. He said if he were calling plays for the Niners, George Kittle would be his leading receiver. And that was the case today. Like, no fucking duh. Obviously, he should be the guy. No one can cover George Kittle in the NFL. He is the biggest mismatch in the NFL. Him against any safety is a bigger mismatch than Justin Jefferson against any corner. Him against the best safety is a bigger mismatch than Justin Jefferson against the best corner. Or Jamar Chase. So, quality control matters. Kyle Shanahan, it took him a bye week. It took him to week 15, but you know what? He figured it out. And if he can keep doing this the rest of the way, the Niners offense can score a lot of freaking points. You know what I'm saying? All right. I think I'm out of stuff to talk about. There's more to talk about when they lose. I feel like if they had lost to the Titans, we could have talked for 8 hours. But they beat the Titans. They let the Titans hang around, but they beat them by 13. So you can't be like too alarmed. I mean, you got to acknowledge that the defense was less than inspirational today. In fact, it was pretty shitty. But the offense was everything they said it could be. And we'll see if it translates against teams that aren't dead. I can't wait to see the Niners play Phillip Rivers next week. I'm going to be there for that. Monday night in Indy against a grandfather and a hell of a defense. I bet the Niners will still be favored to win that game. But from here on out, the Niners are facing playoff caliber teams. That's it. This is the last game against a cupcake. And you know, at least certain players in this team are feeling a lot more confident. No one on defense, but certain players in this team are feeling a lot more confident, and that means something. So thanks for watching. King Marcus 500 said, Grant, is Ashley your wife? I'm divorced. Me and Ashley are dating. So yes, we're dating. Thanks for asking me about my personal life. Been divorced for about 2 years. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with grades. Hang tight.